Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's day 9, the countdown to Spectrum's release, and the next game up is Movie, released in 1986 from Imagine Software Limited at price of £7.95. It's a detective crime investigation themed game. Isometric 3D graphics, if you've never played it before, and again Bob Wakelin's on the artwork, say no more. I never realised actually that the creators of this game were Croatians and Serbians. I didn't know that at the time. I guess I wouldn't really, it's not the sort of thing I would have looked into in 1986. To be fair, Dusko Dimitrovic, Mario Mandic, and oh my god, I shouldn't have started reading these names. Dragoljub Angelikovic. I apologise to any Croatians and Serbians watching for the pronunciation of those names. Anyone who watches my Jurassic World Evolution videos on here that I've had trying to pronounce the dinosaur names knows I'm not very good at that sort of thing, so I do apologise. This was only released on Spectrum and Amstrad apparently, not on the Commodore 64, so I'm quite surprised about that. This game won the CMVG Game of the Month. It was a Crash Smash, which again, that will be the review we'll look at. Sinclair User Classic, Your Sinclair Mega Game, and a ZX Computing Monster Hit. So as you can see, very good pedigree. The average magazine score for this one was 85.75% from 4 reviews, so good scores. Like I said previously, 3D isometric graphics, one of those games, and a good one of those games as well. I mean, it seemed to me like that most of the 3D isometric games I remember playing were really good. I'm sure there were some stinkers out there too. Maybe that's why, because I don't remember those because they were stinkers. But this Batman, Head Over Heels, Nosferatu, the Ultimate Play the Game games like Underworlds, those sort of things, all brilliant, really good games. So yeah, I miss this style of game because I think it produced so many corkers. Like you look at a game like this and straight away you think ZX Spectrum days. Even if you saw it with more modern graphics, if it was in the isometric style, it would immediately remind you of the ZX Spectrum days because they just made so many good games in that style. Okay, we're going to go straight to the Crash review because this is quite a big one. This is a 3-page review, so it's kind of going to look small on the screen, unfortunately. And also, it was a bitch, if you'll pardon the expression, to line up. It was not an easy one, to be honest with you. I've done the best I could. Even like one of the pages, because it's a separate page, I think it looks slightly off colour compared to the rest. But we work with all the tools we have, don't we? And so the picture on the left is quite a handy one actually, because it does describe all of the icons, which is pretty cool. So we've got like the cursor control icon is the first one. The next one is pick up, which I guess actually have they got those the wrong way round? I wonder, because the pick up icon looks like that will be the put down icon. Do you see what I'm saying? The arrow pointing to the hand, you think that will be pick up, but that's what they've said. Pick up is the one next to cursor control, put down is next to that. Obviously gun is self-explanatory. Movement icon is footsteps, speech, punch, throw. So I guess it does kind of make sense really, abort and halt, or halt and abort, sorry, I got them the wrong way around. So yeah, that's quite handy there. I might have to keep that open when I play the game for the first time just so I remember. Okay, let's get to the review because this is quite a long one. Early in 1985, Dusko Dimitrovic invested in a one-way plane ticket from Yugoslavia to this country. Confident that he could sell 2 computer games he'd written to Bug-Byte and thus fund his trip home, he arrived in Liverpool to discover that Bug-Byte were no more. Dusko had a problem. Fortunately, he managed to track down one of the directors of Bug-Byte, who advised him to see Ocean. Ocean bought the games from Dusko and used them as promotional freebies. Before he went home, the Yugoslavian programmer spent a little time with Ocean's programmers, picking up tips and hints on programming and getting a feel for the type of games Ocean wanted. 6 months passed and Movie arrived in Ocean's offices. The game was snapped up and appears on the Imagine label. I'm just going to call him Dusko from now on. By the way, Dusko should be able to afford return tickets in the future. Movie is based on a New York gangster theme and puts you in the shoes of a Philip Marlowe character. You're a private detective who's been hired to recover an audio tape from Gangsters HQ. First, you have to find a girl who will lead you to the mob's base, but to make life that little bit more difficult, she has a dead ringer, a twin sister no less. A bad sister spells trouble with a capital T. The first major task in the game is to find the right girl. Then it's a matter of following her and protecting her from harm on the way to the boss's hideout. Set in New York, the game begins with your character in an office in the Big Apple. Suddenly, business becomes brisk. It's time to leave and take a closer look at the neighborhood. Along the bottom of the screen is a row of icons used to control the trench-coated private dick. Pressing the fire button puts the icon selecting cursor under the control of the joystick and the keyboard. Another press on fire selects an icon. At the start of the game, the cursor rests over the move icon, a footprint, and it's possible to move in 4 directions around the room you're in. All the icons are monochromatic, presented in the 3-dimensional view you that has become familiar with Ultimate's releases and games such as Fairlight and Sweevo. Some of the objects found in locations can be shoved around like chairs and tables, others can be picked up and dropped using the appropriate icon or even thrown. As you follow the girl, she'll ask you to do things for her or fetch things like a whiskey. Bottles and bags come in handy when your guide needs bribing. High on the list of priorities for any self-respecting gumshoe is a gun. Once you've found one, the gun icon comes into play and a row of bullets appears above it. Each time a shot is fired, a bullet disappears from display. At last you can waste people, but once your ammo runs out, all you can do is hurl the weapon at a baddie's head. It's time to find another gun. The play area encompasses several buildings interlinked by streets in which dustbins and packing cases as well as the odd telephone booth can be found. The mob realise what you're up to and heavies lurk in some locations waiting to give you a bad time. Some just punch, and using the punch icon you can fight back, while others pack a mean shooter. Getting too close to a bullet spells curtains and your trench-coated figure dissolves before the game returns to the start screen. As an aid to communication, the speech icon allows conversation by inflating a speech bubble above the figure of the private investigator. Type in what you have to say and consider it said. The other characters in the game won't accept direct orders but can be friendly and sometimes downright helpful after a bit of verbal. Don't be tempted to make improper suggestions to the mini-skirted girls, they'll reject your advances. As if I would. Some of the doors are guarded and you'll need to pop the password into a speech bubble to get through. It's possible to guess some of the passwords, but persuading the girl or other characters to let you have passwords in is an important part of the game. As you collect useful items, they'll appear in an area of the screen above the icons. Cursor points to the latest acquisition. If you want to throw something, make sure the cursor, controlled by its own icon, is pointing at the right missile. Sometimes you'll need to lob objects at things in a room so they can be moved within reach. The zigzag throw icon sends missiles bouncing around the room and a little practice is needed before throwing becomes accurate. Lobbing a bomb is very satisfying. When it comes to rest, it explodes into the words bomb and wastes everyone in the vicinity. At the end of the game, or after quitting with the A icon, 2 scores are presented. One score indicates the number of rooms visited as a percentage of the total number of locations in the game. The other, on a scale of 0.00 to 0.99, indicates how many tasks you completed during play. It ain't easy being Seamus, Max. What the hell that means. I guess that must be a name of a detective. And the comments here: keyboard play responsive once you get the hang of it, use of colour, monochromatic locations, graphics detailed and well animated, no wait between screens for rooms to be drawn, sound only footsteps as you stump around, skill levels 1, screens 199 rooms, quite a good number, general rating, a neat development on a 3D theme with a very different scenario. And the marks we have here: use of computer 90%, graphics 95%, playability 93%, getting started 91%, addictive qualities 92%, value for money 94%, overall 93%. So as you can see, very good scores. I've got to go all the way back to page 1 for the first criticism. There's lots of fun to be had exploring locations in movie, nearly 200 in all, and the detail in some rooms is very pleasing. Clocks tick and tape recorder spools whirl. The animation on the girls is really neat. They'll wiggle along, enticing you to follow very convincingly. The icon control system is straightforward enough but can be a bit tricky at times when you need to enter a location which contains a gun-toting baddie. You have to flip from move to gun icon very quickly to get a shot in. The girls begin in a random location, so each time you play the game is a little different. Overall, great game, lots of atmosphere. It's a shame there's not more sound though. Should keep everyone busy for quite a while solving the puzzles it contains. Wow, great graphics. The same viewpoint as in Nightlaw, Alienate and Fairlight, but with real objects which you can identify, like armchairs, crates, TVs, etc. They're not just fantasy objects. The game is quite original, presenting a fair challenge. The graphics far surpass the other game elements. I won't do the obvious thing and say they're filmic, but excellent they are. Sound is a little bit sparse, little beyond footsteps, and maybe the use of colour should have been a bit more adventurous. For me, movie keeps Imagine of Ye Are Kung Fu and Mikey fame well up at the ultimate level. I decided to don my raincoat and crash hat for this one. Brilliant was the first word that came to mind as I entered a very posh American type tower block office. Quick look out the window and I thought I'd better dash, so I ran out of the room and very promptly bumped into a very suspicious looking coffee table. I proceeded and found an unfingerprinted gun. Might come in useful, I thought. I was right. Imagine's first step into the monochromatic world is a success, in my mind anyway. Movie is the most enthralling game I've ever played. I think it must be ever played. The scenario is a classic one and one I've never seen implemented before in a proper arcade adventure game. Muggsy was strategy before Ed starts getting letters. Everything's fabulous. The graphics are amazingly detailed and realistic. The game goes at a very sinister pace, a cursor with inertia and a parrot that repeats everything you say. Stop watching those old gangster movies and jump into one via your Spectrum and a copy of Movie. Game of the year so far for me. Now leave me alone, let me get back to finding this twin sister. Fair play. I think, personally speaking, the reason why I don't remember much about the plot of movies because it it was quite complicated for a kid to play. I think I'm going to have a lot more fun playing this as a grown-up. I just remember enjoying the game. I seem to remember dying a lot, so that's probably why, again, I probably got frustrated and put this game down eventually, because I think as a kid you haven't got the patience for that sort of thing if you do keep like dying and stuff. It's a strange one for me, this, because I really do have strong, vivid memories of playing this game, but I couldn't tell you like the experiences I had and like what it was about. I guess I just noodled around on this one, to be fair. It probably is because it was a bit complex for a kid to play. That's not to say I was a stupid kid by any means, but you know, I think for a kid who likes to play football games and stuff like that, fairly simple stuff, you get something complicated and it's a bit more of an acquired taste, I suppose. I think I was just massively into like the 3D isometric games, so I would play pretty much all of them. I don't know what I'm going to talk about though on some of these games coming up, because I've got games coming up later on this list that I never played at all, so I don't have any memories of, so hopefully I'm going to find enough things to talk about on those videos. Let me know in the comments if you finished this game as a kid. I would be interested. Well, let me know anyway, whatever age it was, but do let me know if you managed to get to grips with this as a kid, or whether you were like me and you found it a little bit complicated. I know one thing, I'm very much looking forward to playing this when the Spectrum releases. I got so many games that are going to be right at the top of that list to want to play immediately. I think this is going to be one of them. It's going to be right up there anyway, but I think I'll be starting with Manic Miner. Don't get me wrong, but I think Movie is going to be one of those games for sure. I like the theme of it. I like the whole detective, the whole film noir thing. I do like all that stuff, so I think that's definitely going to entice me in, and I'm looking forward to getting to grips with it. Maybe a little bit easier than I did when I was a child. Anyway, thank you as ever for watching. Thank you as ever for supporting the channel. This is day 9 of the countdown to the Spectrum, and we've only got another 13 days to go. Less than 2 weeks. Oh my word, I can't believe it. You know, it's good, but it's also another indication of how quickly life moves, isn't it? It's like, oh my god, pretty soon this release date is going to be a distant memory, because we're going to be up to Christmas and stuff, and then we're going to be into 2025. Mind you, then again, the countdown to the full-size Amiga starts then, doesn't it? So time waits for nobody. But anyway, we don't want to talk about that yet, because we want to enjoy the Spectrum, and that's what this is all about, and I'm sure you guys are as excited as I am for that. Okay everybody, thank you so much for watching as ever. I really do appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye for now.